Hey guys, Vice Here, bringing you this very first look at the Midnight Alpha for the Unholy Death Knight. Very fortunate to get invited to this Alpha virtual event where we get to play the game. This is Midnight Alpha that I have in front of you, and try it out. We're gonna talk about Unholy today, and there is a lot to talk about. I think Unholy got like a proper rework. I've said it in the past. But this is kind of like Unholy going into Legions kind of rework. It is fundamentally different in many, many different ways. Starting out, first thing, there are no more festering wounds. Gone are the days of quadratic scaling, all those kind of things, but also gone are the days of terrible target swapping and annoying kind of target-based combo point system. Instead, let me tell you how it works. We have Festering Strike and Scourge Strike still, but now Festering Strike applies a buff on you. You can see it gives you 3 to 4 stacks. Goes up to 8 by the way. And hitting Scourge Strike consumes one of those stacks and summons an army ghoul. So when you go and hit a dummy, right, you stack up, you have 4 stacks. Every Scourge Strike, you get a little guy to come fight for you. So it really goes into this big army kind of vibe, and you see like when you pop all the ghouls and hit all the cooldowns, there are a lot of pets hitting the boss, the target essentially. I think yeah, that is a big change and something you kind of need to get used to. You're kind of going to play around with it similarly, but it's kind of like you carry the wounds with you when you move from different targets, so that's super nice. We have a new kind of significant rotation spell called Putrify, which is over here. This interacts heavily with the new way Festering Strike and Scourge Strike works. So essentially, we click it, it takes the oldest ghoul, so whichever ghoul has been up for the longest, and sacrifices that to deal AoE damage. I think this deals a significant amount of damage. You actually want to use this. It does come on a 2 charge and 15-second recharge, so it's like a big button you press kind of thing. And in the new talent tree, it interacts with a lot of different talents. Oh, hang on, Putrify, there we go. So there's like loads of things there that all interact with a Putrify. So it's like a major new rotation button that we're gonna like fit into our standard rotation where we do our Festering Strikes and Scourge Strikes and Death Calls. You know the deal. Just a couple of mentions. You can talent so that when you use Putrify, the ghoul you sacrifice turns into a magus after it dies and explodes. You can also talent into this guy, which kind of like makes the explosion deal more damage but scales less. Like currently it explodes and everything, but you can make it do 50% more damage and then scale in a like more flat fashion. And then also you can like increase the power of the ghouls you summon, and you can also make it consume diseases. Like there are a lot of interactions with this like new Putrify spell, which is pretty interesting. Another thing, we have that Clawing Shadows has been reworked. Maybe a bit unfortunately, we can no longer hit from range, but this is now our kind of way of cleaving in AoE. So we no longer use Deafening K to cleave. I'm sure we can use Deafening K to just deal damage, right? But that does not interact with our cleave in any way. Instead, every time we hit Scourge Strike, we get this Clawing Shadows buff, which means that Clawing Shadows hits an additional target. And after you've done it 4 times, you kind of maxed out, and then you change to 4 enemies. So every time I hit Scourge Strike here, I hit everything. And that's our new way of doing AoE. So it's completely passive. It kind of ramps up a bit over time. That's kind of it. So that's a big change. Festering Strike can also cleave. We have to talent the Festering Scythe down here. Now very different. It's just that when you hit Festering Strike, you also get a Scythe, which increases the tick rate of dots. But it kind of looks like that. So you hit that and then you get a Scythe, and then you can see you get the dot increase debuff on the enemies there. So AoE rotation is very different. You're no longer tied to Deafening K. You kind of just keep doing your single target rotation, and then you kind of swap out your death calls for Epidemic. So it's a lot simpler, a lot more versatile, because you don't really care about things as they move about and get out of your Deafening K, that kind of thing. So That's pretty nice. Whew, so many things. Anyway, we got a new disease, a dread plague. So this just comes from your outbreak. You can see it up there. Fundamentally, you kind of got a single target disease and an AoE disease now. So Virulent Plague is your AoE disease, hits everything, and you also spread it by hitting Scourge Strike. So you can apply it with just Outbreak, and that goes in all enemies. But if something kind of comes into the pack, hitting Scourge Strike spreads it to the new enemies, which is pretty nice. So that makes it so that, you no longer have to like use Outbreak several times and things get scattered. You can use it once, and then you spread it easily. This new Dread Plague, it just hits your primary target, so you can only be active at the single target at once, and it doesn't do that much, to be honest. I don't know, it doesn't have that many interactions. It does the same things as Virulent Plague. It kind of gets extended if you hit Deathcore and Epidemic. It also can give you Runic Power from the Super Strain. That's quite low though. The one interesting aspect of this is this rapid variant. Essentially, when the target that has Dread Plague on it dies, it explodes and then jumps to the next lowest health target. And this is like a chain reaction vibe talent. If you think about Warlock's, I think it was Soul Flame ability, that was like a biggie when you had a big pack of small mobs and you just start exploding and you just triggered a chain reaction effect. This is what is going to happen here. I kind of like this. It means that if you have the disease up on something that dies, you don't need to reapply it. It's just going to jump automatically and then deal some more damage. So quite a nice single target. In general, right, we have more disease interaction in this new talent tree. Like I've mentioned it before, Blight Burst. You kind of consume a part of your dots. This is super annoying talent, by the way. I don't like this. Like every time you hit the Putrify, it just absolutely kills your dot duration and you have to reapply your dots. But it might be good damage, I don't know. Scourge Strike now automatically kind of does some of the dot damage every time you press it. And you can also improve that with this a Scourging, which then scales off things that kind of increase the dot rate of your different spells. So like Ebon Fever, stuff like that. We have Scythe, makes your your diseases do damage more quickly. We obviously had this rapid variant I mentioned before. I think fundamentally, right, diseases are now much a more central part of your kind of rotation. You need to keep them up more actively. Like if I go and I hit dummy here, right, the disease does not last for long, and if I use my Putrify, once that explodes, consumes the disease, I have to reapply them. The amount of stuff you need to do here heavily depends on what talents you choose, actually. So if you run Sun Lane, there's a lot of things in that kit that automatically increase the duration of dots, and you don't really need to care about it that much. With Rider, you need to reapply dots constantly, which can be a bit annoying sometimes. But we'll see. Depends on what talents you run, right? Also, we have more pet interaction. Okay, so obviously the core rotation now summons pets every time you hit Scourge Strike, right? That's like a big thing. We also have that we gain mastery for every pet we have up with the Unholy Aura. This is no longer like just increasing the damage everything standing close to you. This is based off how many pets you have active. So this is going to be like a nice burst. So when we hit like our Army of the Dead, and then we go into a burst, it's going to be a lot of pets that we summon. Especially have a lot of haste, right? We have that we explode our pets with Putrify, we summon Magi with our Putrify, we consume diseases with Putrify, and we empower our pet with Putrify as well. That was the this one, Unholy Devotion. So there's a lot of stuff going on with your pets and so on, which is pretty interesting. We also have this, like, I think is going to be a factor of kind of keeping track of how long your pets are up, so that you can putrify them right at the end. So then you don't lose any uptime, and then you'll still get the max damage. So I'm sure there's going to be some effect in there where you keep track of your disease, of your pets, and you try and time your putrifies in such a way that you, yeah, make the most of them. All right, so that's kind of like the high level overview of how the rotation now looks like. I'll have some footage here in the background playing when we did some Myth Plus with the new Unholy. I think it does play similarly to before, but there are some key differences that you need to pay attention to, like managing your dots, hitting that Putrify, and so on. We also get these new extra talents, and they call something special, which are pretty cool. Forbidden Knowledge. So when we hit Army of the Dead, what happens is that our Death Call and Epidemic turn into these Necrotic Call and Graveyard. And they are lower cost, but importantly, also they are half GCD. So this is, I don't know what this is going to feel like, but when you hit the army, let's see, I'm going to get some Rune Power as well. You're going to just be spamming Death Call and Epidemic. Because they are half GCD, so like they recharge incredibly quickly. So it's like, I don't know what I feel about this. I think it might be too fast. But it's, I don't know, it's an interesting kind of way to do things. And we're also going to have things where, like, we also extend this with your Skirt Strike. So you're going to have this, like, really big burst window, which you're just going to be spamming Death Calls or Epidemics and do huge damage, which is pretty cool. All right. Those were my, like, you know, overarching topics. Let's talk a little bit about, like, which talents did we actually lose, what's gone, and so on. And I do have a bit of a list here that we can actually look at. So just walking it through here, because we did lose a lot of talents. Apocalypse is gone, clearly. That used to burst wounds, bursting souls as well. We lost Death Rot. That used to be like a stacking debuff on the enemy. This helps us with kind of target swapping, because that was something that we had to ramp up over time. Decomposition, I can't really remember. That was something we never used. We've lost Defile and Desecrate. So like all the Definite K interacting things, gone. Eternal Agony is gone. That's now baked into Dark Transformation. Used to like extend the duration of Dark Transformation with Death Call and Epidemic. We lost Festamite, which is clearly an kind of wound-based spell. Improved Festing Strike, Legion of Souls, Pestilence, all related to wounds there. We lost Pestilence, Plaguebringer, Rotten Touch, Soul Reaper, and Holy Blight. A lot of things that did lose, like Soul Reaper, our Execute. Might miss that one, I don't know. Rotten Touch was also something that kind of made it difficult to target swap. Plaguebringer, that was a maintenance buff that buffed our diseases. I think I'm going to miss some of these. One thing on Holy Blight was so nice, because we just automatically apply our dots. Now we need to be more manual about it. It's like we always have to hit Outbreak. So that's one thing to consider. We also have some changes in the class tree. We don't have Wraithhawk anymore. That's now gone. And then there's been some minor shuffling about, but this is kind of like pretty constant. In the hero talent trees, we did get some more hero talents. So you can see there's like, there used to be 3 routes and there's now 4. So you got some more ones of these. Nothing too significant here, I believe. The rider ones got exactly from the tier sets. So you got like White Mane and so on. But Sun Lane, I'm actually not too sure exactly what the new stuff is here. I think like some of it comes from old tier sets. Nothing too important, right? I don't think it's that impactful. All right. Very excited about this. I love when things change. I can't quite make my mind up. Is this gonna like play nicely? I think my biggest gripe is Putrify. It's kind of like, it doesn't feel great to press. And I think that's mainly due to the fact that it removes a ghoul fighting for you. And this Blight Burst is also super annoying. Because you're kind of like going in, you hit the boss, and then you press this Putrify. And then suddenly, when that explodes, your dots are gone. And you're like, oh hang on, I need to reapply them. So, I'm not too big a fan of that one specifically. But otherwise, everything kind of plays nicely. Obviously, you can see in the footage. Make up your mind yourselves, but that's the general vibe. I'm excited to see where this kind of goes. What build are we going to run in the end? What kind of minor optimization shall we find? That kind of stuff. Oh, we'll see. Anyway, I think that's enough of me rambling. Do you let me know in comments? What do you guys think about this? New Unholy? What's the vibe? I don't know. I'm excited. I think this is like this is some fresh blood in a spec that hasn't seen a lot of changes in a lot of time. So that's nice. Upvote, downvote, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.